everybody. It's good to see y'all.
Good evening.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pass it off to Abraham, who's got an excellent lesson for you guys today.
Well, guys, welcome to hell. I was kidding. I'm gonna torture you some more. I'm not. This lesson is a little easier. So here we're gonna start with the lesson. So hopefully everybody's on. And let me start sharing. Yep. So today we're gonna start with a quote. Straight out of the oven. A loaf of bread is good enough to be eaten as it is. Then the day after, it will be perfect to make papa al pomodoro or bread pudding. Finally, after 2 days, the bread will make breadcrumbs for meatballs, passatelli, and cakes. This quote comes from Massimo Bottura, and he was born on September 30th, 1962, in Modena, Italy. He's a chef patron of the third Michelin star oystery franchise, Francescana in Modena, and then ranked third in the world's 50th Best Restaurant Awards. And let me translate it in Spanish. Una hogaza de pan recién sacada del horno es lo suficientemente buena como para comerla tal como es. Luego, al día siguiente será perfecto para hacer papa al pomodoro o pudín de pan. Finalmente, después de 2 días, el pan hará migas de pan para albóndigas, passatelli y pasteles. Esta es una gota de Massimo Bottura y él nació el 30 de septiembre de 1962. En Modena, Italia, es chef patrón de una hostería francescana de Modena, galardonada con 3 estrellas Michelin, clasificado en el tercer lugar de los premios World 50 Best Restaurants. So, what do you guys think about these quotes? Let me go back to this. Stop sharing. Okay. Oh, Annie is here.
The life of bread.
Mm-hmm. The life of bread. Hi, Annie.
Hi, Annie. Hola.
So, I think I'm gonna just put so Annie can see it. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds so you can read the quote. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds, okay, Annie? Since you just got here.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. I'm going back to the. Oops. What did I press? Oh, there you go. Shit. Okay. So let me know when you're done, and so we can all start talking about the quote, and so you guys can read as well. Nice husky. Are you ready, Annie?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you guys waiting only for me?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I read it. I read
Okay.
it ahead of time.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Everyone looked like they were reading, so I didn't realize they were waiting for
Well,
me.
it's all right. They can reread it. So, what do you guys think about this quote?
You know, I spoke earlier off the top of my head, but then as I read it again, I felt indebted to the importance and the worth of bread because when there are persons out there like you see the homeless, and I've seen them downtown Los Angeles when I was working down there eating out of trash can, you know, just, actually unfolding sandwich papers and finding a half of a sandwich or something, and they feeling so blessed, so lucky. And so the bread itself, in this particular poem, to me, has a value, a worth. It's important. It's royal.
Yeah, definitely.
You know. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Bread is, in this case, this picture was really something important that has a life cycle. And let's go back to Nikolai. He raised his hand. Are you ready, Nikolai?
Yeah. I think. I mean, I'm not reading the book or anything. Just off of that quote, I think he's talking about not letting things go to waste.
Yes.
And I think for this class, I guess maybe it could remind us that when we're writing and working on something, even if we have to edit something out or cut something out, it might work better somewhere else.
Yes, definitely. We can reuse, right?
Yeah.
Ideas. And for example, this guy works in a really nice restaurant, and he's still using the food that's left over, right? So that's something to think about, right? And who else raise their hands? Anybody else have another opinion on it? Go, David.
It also shows like how multifaceted bread can be, because it's saying all these different uses. Like it's good by itself. It's good made into breadcrumbs for meatballs and made into some kind of a pasta dish that I just heard of right now that I'm like, wow, what is that?
I Google a lot of those ones and they all look delicious.
I know, yeah. I started Googling too, and it shows the creativity of this one thing and how multifaceted and how, it could be so many different things.
Yeah, I think like Nikolai was saying, it's not just about food sometimes, it's also about being resourceful, right? And so, yeah, you can apply this to a lot of things in life. So that's pretty neat. Hold on, I have Jenny Martinez, please.
Yeah, it reminded me of what I do with my turkey.
Oh, tell us about this turkey.
Well, first, of course, is that grand turkey meal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the following day, I could make turkey tacos.
Wow.
I can make it, but it's always different. It's not like the same meat, right?
Yeah.
So I make it with either maybe bell pepper and onions, and I'll just mix it well, right?
Yeah.
And if there's still more turkey left, and my kids know it, I've done turkey flautas.
Oh, yeah.
And then if there's still more turkey, I've done turkey, how do you call it? You know how the like chicken salad?
Okay.
With mayo and veggies. Well, I make turkey salad. And the kids, they're like, they can't really, at that time when they were little, they couldn't tell that I was doing all these wonderful things with the turkey.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to throw it away,
Oh, exactly. Because that's, especially turkey, always a lot of leftover, right? So it's
it reminded me of that, how
yes.
It's like you say, you have to be creative with, with the food.
Yeah.
I think that's very creative, the way you do the bread,
Yeah, and I think everybody has experienced some of that, like with their moms, so now they're older and they're cooking by themselves, and how to extend food that otherwise will just go to waste, right? Somebody else's. Yeah. Nettie Martinez just got here. Hi. And so we're gonna continue with the next work. So for this one, I'm gonna need hold on, a volunteer. What is it? Here. Sorry. So we're moving down. Whee. So this is the poem, and hopefully somebody can help me read the one in English.
I will read.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. We're in a postcard driving a Cento poem. Cento?
Yes, Cento.
Stacy Michelle. We're in a postcard, driving into the night, into the lives of men, in a language strange and not of our making. Again, I think I want you to kiss me. Surround these bones with flesh, your burning blood, your dancing tongue. Add the sound of purple to sweetly swirl into view, framed now by the words, I can't touch you.
Thank you. And before we start discussing, somebody else can read on Spanish, please. Si alguien lo puede leer en español, por favor, el siguiente.
I can read it.
Muchas gracias.
Okay. Estamos en una postal conduciendo. Un poema Cento. Estamos en una postal conduciendo hacia la noche, hacia la vida de los hombres, en un idioma extraña y no de nuestra creación. De nuevo, creo que quiero que me beses. Rodea estos huesos con carne, tu sangre ardiente, tu lengua bailarina. Agrega el sonido de púrpura para girar dulcemente a la vista, enmarcando ahora por las palabras. No puedo tocarte.
Ok, voy a dejar la pantalla así porque para así pueden ver y referirse si quieren. Nada más el que quiera hablar, hable y ya después apague su micrófono, ¿ok? So, ¿alguien tiene una idea o un comentario sobre este poema? So, somebody else have a comment for these poems that we just read? You can just speak. I'm going to leave it so you can see and refer to the piece or the parts that you want to talk about. Close it. So hide it. So does anybody have something to say about this poem?
Well, could the postcard be something that is written, not necessarily a postcard, but maybe a letter or, Hallmark card or something? And could you put it back up?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was trying. Hold on. I mean,
okay. Yeah. And then the driving in the night is like something is not clear or let me see. And then into lives of men, into a language strange. And I saw this picture by Hallmark on TV where this lady, she wrote letters to men in the army.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was called a postcard too.
Huh.
And then it says, and not of our making again. So, there's just, like I say, at random.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I want you to kiss me. So I remember my sister telling me about how she met this man in jail. She's writing letters, and they actually got married later on. So something developed from that. So I think I want you to kiss me. Surround these bones with flesh. So how do you say, fleshly desires are going on here.
Seems like.
And then you're burning blood. It's not blood. I mean, it's she's on fire for him, or he's on fire for her. Burning desire. And then your dancing tongue, French kissing going on. And at the sound of purple. I always wanted to know what purple meant other than being royal.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then it's so sweetly swirl into view. So her imagination or his imagination is very strong, framed now by the words. So her desires are only by words or his words. Yeah, and then I can't touch you. You can't touch. You just got to read between the lines.
Yes.
That's it.
Definitely more spicy type of poem. Yeah, no, we have been covering food, and this one's definitely a little different, but it's definitely a poem worth reading, I guess. So anybody else have comments on this poem?
Me, Abraham.
Bring it on.
Nice to see you again, guys.
Hi.
Well, I was rereading the poem, and it looks like you're kind of like an awkward moment. That person you're trying to have something so like nobody dares to give the next step, right? That's how it feels like. And when it comes to your dancing tongue at the sound of purple, for some reason it reminds me of a hiki. I don't know why.
Oh wow, yeah, you definitely might be up to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What I got, it was the same. Like somebody talking about a relationship they want, but they're like far, right? So right now, just by words or letters, postcards. Anybody else have any comments onto this poem? And do you guys see anything strange about the writing or different?
Not really. I like it, but I don't see anything strange.
Do you guys find the punctuations a little bit?
It seems
strange?
a little surreal to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a postcard, driving in the night, lives of men, a different language. What does that mean?
Well,
I could see there's like a lot of lust involved.
Yes.
And so
But I'm
We
glad.
were trying to keep it clean.
Not anymore. So yeah, Tina, I think you're right. There's some. It feels like parts getting together, right? So this is what the Cento poem is. Since you mentioned it, we're gonna move on to what this poem is.
is it like stream of consciousness, something like that?
It's something like it, but let's move on to what Cento is. Cento comes from the Latin word of patchwork. The Cento or collage poem is a poetic form composed entirely of lines from poems by other poets. Thought poets often borrow lines from other writers and mix them in with their own. A true Cento is composed entirely of lines from other sources. So before we start talking about, let me just translate it in Spanish, okay? So Cento, del latín para mosaico. El cento o poema collage es una forma poética compuesta enteramente de líneas de poemas de otros poetas. Aunque los poetas a menudo toman como prestadas líneas de otros autores y las mezclan con las suyas, un verdadero cento se compone enteramente de líneas de otros fuentes. So what a cento is a poem composed of different parts of different poems. So each line comes from a different poem. That's why, like Tina was saying, it feels like a lot of things getting together. And as I was telling you guys, the punctuation looks a little different because that's where the line of the other poem they were getting from, the line it's coming from. So you see a couple of points here and there that might not be there, right? So anybody else have questions so far? So ¿alguien tiene alguna pregunta por la hora? Let me go back to the name so I can see you guys. So hi. So anybody else have any questions so far about Cento?
Does it have to be strictly poems, or can it be from other writings?
Yeah, it can definitely be other sources. And I have seen people, actually groups of people doing with songs, like groups saying, oh, let's do these centos about music. And they start using songs from like different artists or different songs from same artists. So definitely you can pick up from something else, but so it has to be a line. Yeah, the lyrics are pretty cool. Yeah.
I have a question, Luis. What about intellectual rights?
Exactly. We're gonna move on to that. So
Okay, I was just wondering.
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, and I think every artist has inspiration and they get stuff from it. So the whole point is that you're only getting a little piece of it. And let's
Okay.
move on to the next sense. Oh, does anybody else have questions? Oh no. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, let me share this thing back. Mhm. So a couple of tips. Sorry. Okay. So here are some tips to write your Cento. And I'm going back to your question towards the end of this, okay? So read a lot of poetry. The more poetry you have in your mind to source lines from, the better. Reading up on plenty of authors gives you a bigger pool of content to choose from when writing and structuring your Cento, okay? Let me translate in Spanish, okay? Tips para escribir un Cento. Lee mucha poesía. Cuanta más poesía tengas en mente para buscar líneas, mejor. Leer sobre muchos autores le brindará una mayor cantidad de contenido para elegir al escribir y estructurar su Cento. So like everything, try to get as many poems and start reading, right? That's the whole point of this. Start reading and catching up to poets and poetry in different styles. And so you can see that's a lot of body work that you can gather from and start writing your own Cento, okay? And so the second one is match tenses and point of view. Borrowing lines isn't a free for all. If you choose a first person perspective, keep all the lines in the first person. Then the same rule applies to tenses. If your Cento begins in a past tense, keep it in the past tense, okay? So déjame traducir en español. Coordina tiempos verbales y puntos de vista. El tomar líneas para prestadas no es una situación sin consecuencias. Si elige una perspectiva en primera persona, mantenga todas las líneas en primera persona. La misma regla se aplica a los tiempos verbales. Si su Cento comienza en tiempo pasado, mantenga en el tiempo pasado. So basically what this means to keep your poem to make sense. So if you're going to start talking about the past, continue talking about the past unless you say on the poem that you're going to start moving to the future or the present. So don't start talking about he and then all of a sudden the next line, because you find a line in a poem that kind of fits your poem, then it's move on to she or they. So start thinking of those things, okay? Any questions so far? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the last piece and the answer of the previous questions. Cite your sources. When you write a Cento, it is important to note whose poetry you have taken to include in your own. A Cento does not mean you are passing published work off as your own original creation. A works cited section lets the reader know you are crediting the authors as well as which other poems they can read should they be interested in investigating the sources further. So en español, cita sus fuentes. Cuando escribe un Cento, es importante tomar en cuenta de quién es la poesía que ha incluido en la suya. Un Cento no significa hacer pasar un trabajo ya publicado como su propia creación original. Una sección de obras citadas le permite al lector saber que está dando crédito a los autores, así como cual otras poesías pueden leer si estuvieran interesados en investigar más la fuente. So here's your answer. I'm going back so I can see you guys. So any questions so far? Veronica, does that answer your previous question?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay, and so how do you do this? Here's the citing for the point that we just read. Okay, let me tap it. And going back. Share. So the first poem that we read, which was this one, estamos en una postal conduciendo un poema Cento. We're in a postal driving a Cento poem, right? That's the first poem that we read. So it goes like that. And then we have at the end this cited page, section, basically. So here are the credits for that poem. So in this specific poem, we have 9 lines, I think. Hold on, let me go down. Yes, we have 9 lines. And maybe in the poem that you guys see in this worksheet, it's a little different. Maybe you understand because the way we have the English and the Spanish version, it might have cut the line and put it under a little bit. So just keep on following and there will be only 9 lines. So, and the first, the poem, it starts with the title, which is the same as the first line of the source they're getting it from, which is by Elizabeth Alexander, LA by Night. That's the poem that she got it from. So you see, these are all the lines, they have the specific author and then the work they will got the poem from, the title of the work they got it from. So, como pueden ver aquí en el primer poema, estamos citando las 9 líneas que utilizó la poeta de otros poetas, ¿verdad? Y pueden ver que el primero fue utilizado no solo como la primera línea, sino también como el título. Y la persona que escribió el original se llama Elizabeth Alexander y el poema se llama LA by Night. Y siguen las líneas, pueden ver que dice Ocean Bomb, Paramore, and so on. You can see all the other credits. So that's one way you can credit your poets that you got from all the lines. Okay? Any questions so far? No? Okay. So we're gonna move on. Okay. Oh, I was gonna actually start doing that again. Okay. Window, back. Oh, sorry. I was trying to double click that one. Okay. So we have here another poem, and hopefully somebody can help me read it in English, please. Does anybody want to read in English or in Spanish? Si alguien lo quiere leer en español primero o en inglés.
I can do English.
Thank you, mate.
Okay, more examples with sources. Round paradise is such a wall. Monroe?
Yes.
And hearing fairy voices call. Webb. And the streams run goldenly. Well, there is no grass at all. Stevens.
Thank you. And before we start discussing that, ¿alguien lo quiere leer en español, por favor?
Yo lo puedo leer.
Muchas gracias, Luz.
Más ejemplos con citas. El paraíso redondo es tanto un muro. Monroe. Y escuchando llamar las voces de hadas. Webb. Y los arroyos corren dorados. Y donde no hay nada de pasto. Stevens.
Thank you. So this is another example for your sources. In this occasion, the writer put actually the name of the person who wrote the original line after it. So in my opinion, I don't like it because as you guys were reading it, you stop and like that kind of stops the flow of the poem and you start reading the name and you think, what's going on? Especially if you know what a cento is, right? So you guys can see under it, you have the sources, and then you follow the name, the first line, it has Monroe, and then it has the poem, the original piece of line came from. So, como les decía, en esta ocasión, el autor de este poema utilizó sus citas, casi acabando cada línea, le puso el nombre del escritor original. Y eso, en mi opinión, pero sí se puede usar de esta forma, Cano destruye el flow del poema, como que separa a la gente cuando lo está leyendo y dice, oh, nombre, y si no sabes que es un cento, como que no le vas a agarrar qué está pasando. Pero si se dan cuenta, abajo en las fuentes viene el nombre y después el nombre del autor original de esa línea y después el nombre del poema. ¿Ok? So what do you guys think about this style of quoting? Oh, hold on, somebody else.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
I was just saying, you raised your hand. Go for it.
yeah.
Well, yeah. So actually, it was for something else, but like you said, the flow, it doesn't flow.
Yeah, right.
So do you have to have the name? Because I noticed in the other one, it didn't have it.
Exactly. That's my point. I mean, this is a different way of doing it. And I was just expressing the same as you. Like, I don't feel this style. I prefer to put it under it and people just get the lines. But yeah, in this case, I just wanted to show you a different examples of how people cite this type of poems sometimes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, yeah, you honestly, it doesn't even make sense like that, I guess.
Yeah.
If you remove the names, it will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anybody else have any comments on this piece?
Well, in your outline, I think you mentioned giving full credit.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I think you mentioned that if someone wanted to look it up, maybe they liked the line or something.
Yes.
Like if you're on the internet, how could they find more information about this particular writing, the style or something? And so it's nothing there. It's just blank.
Yeah, well, it just has the name, and under it has the name of the author, and then it has the name of the piece. So nowadays it's easier with the internet. You can find maybe the poem that way, but that's also the ways of doing it. So I think I should move on to that then. So I think that's the next part. Hold on a second.
So Abraham, just a quick question.
Yes,
so basically, we like the way I understand it is like a collage poem. Like you take different bits of somebody else's work, you credit those people, and that's how you build the piece together. That's how I get it. I'm not sure.
Yes, you are correct in a sense, but there's a different styles of getting poems. For example, we have a response poem, which basically is reading a poem, then talking about the poem. That's one way. And then it's also blackout poetry, when you have a piece of work and you start blacking out everything and you just leave the parts you want. But this style, it has to be an entire line. So you have to keep an entire line, and it has to be only one from one poem. You cannot get a couple of them from there. So you have to get a lot of different pieces in there, right? So that's the tricky part about this one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, but sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And okay, anybody else has questions before we keep on going? Okay, I'll open the next. Sure. Okay. Sorry. So, because the first point was a little spicy, and I still wanted to find a sample about food, I wrote my own Cento, and so I would love somebody to read, actually, since
I'll read it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Yay,
you get an extra
Abraham.
credit. You get an extra credit.
Okay. Get an A+. No Leftover Cento by Abraham. How do you pronounce your last name?
My last name is Jaramillo.
Again?
Jaramillo.
Yo.
Jaramillo. There you go. Yeah, close enough.
Okay, close enough.
Yeah,
I was born in the richest ghetto. My mother always said, eat your vegetables, sprinkled with dust.
You can go under.
You
Next.
can always just eat around the burnt part. Take them or leave them.
Thank you. And so, ¿alguien lo puede leer en español, por favor?
I can.
Muchas gracias.
Okay, go for it.
Go for it, Jenny. I don't wanna.
Fight.
Yo ya leí, Neri. Puedes leer tú, ándale.
Eso.
Okay.
Yo leí.
No leftovers, Cento. Abraham Jaramillo. Nací en el gueto más rico. Mi madre siempre me decía, come tus verduras, despolvorear con polvo. Siempre puedes comer alrededor de la parte quemada. Tómalos o déjalos.
Thank you very much. So before we move on to the credits for this one, what do you guys think about the poem? So antes de que nos vamos a los créditos, ¿qué piensan acerca de este poema?
I like it. I really do. It makes perfect sense.
Oh, thank you.
And I see where it's coming from. Wow.
I had a friend just tell me, or a quotation I heard one way or the other. I didn't know that I was poor when I lived in the ghetto because everybody was like me.
Yeah.
You know, so I was raised East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights area, Estrada Courts, Lorena Street School, Stevenson Junior High School, Roosevelt High School. Ghetto.
Welcome.
Not really. I lived in the richest part of the ghetto. Yes, I did. So, you know, been there, done that. And that was way before your time. And yeah, Mom did say, eat your vegetables. That's right.
Yeah.
When we had them, go down behind the Ground Citrus Market with my bag. That was way back in the 50s. And picked out of those boxes that they had halfway good vegetables in there, brought them home. Yeah. So eat your vegetables. Yeah. God bless us that get them. And then, yeah, sometimes we only had the end piece of the bread. Yeah. And if it got toasted and it was burnt, scrape it, you know. And, it's good for you.
It's nice that you talk about
let the breadcrumbs fall on the vegetables, you know. Create a new taste.
You get
waste none. No, don't waste nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and nice that you talk about this age gap, because when I was writing this, I always remind myself, like, back in the day, my mom was, they're old school parents. So if she makes something, I didn't like it, basically I didn't eat, right? So that
Better
was,
not say nothing.
And nowadays I see a lot of parents who do this and ask their kids, what do you want to eat? Which I find a little like shocking to me because I'm coming back from a background. So like, okay, this is what it is. And if you don't eat it, you're going to go hungry, right?
That's right.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that as well. So anybody else have any notes on this? Let me go back to because I think there's messages. I'll go back. Okay, lyrics, oh, yes, we like it. Points. Okay. Somebody remembers? Okay, perfect. Okay. This one?
Did we see all the credits?
Miss Michelle?
I'm just...
Oh.
Did we see all the credits for the poem?
Yeah, that's where I'm heading.
Oh, okay.
Just wanted to just talk about the context of the poem. Okay, Miss Michelle, you have any questions?
I have a comment.
Yes, bring it on.
I feel when you say sprinkle with dust, it's like the sprinkle with dust is like magic. And I was thinking about, the sprinkle with dust is like magic or pixie dust. But at the same time, I think a society where someone Lois mentioned the bread, the heel of the bread, or the bud of the bread. There's some people in this world who won't eat that because they say it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. Well, you should still be thankful for that heel of the bread or the butt of the bread, which is the last part.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Because the fact it's still bread.
Yeah.
And I work at a place where I've seen that heel thrown away literally. I work at an assisted living place, and food is served to people. And one day, the heel of the bread was toasted, but it was raisin toast, and the heel was toast. And the lady says, "I don't want that. I don't eat that." I'm serious. She said, like I said, I work for people. I work for a assisted living program, and serving meals is one of the duties of my job. So the heel the bread was used was toasted. And she says, I don't eat that part of the bread. I thought to myself, oh, excuse you. I thought to myself, well, okay. So I said, well, I didn't ask her why, but I'm not going to put race into it, but I guess from a certain part of this country, a certain race you are, you think the heel of the bread is not extendable to you, like it's beneath you. But guess what? It's still bread.
Yes.
I said, well,
and it goes back to what
how dare you?
Yeah, it goes back to the quote that we got at the beginning about this chef who's reusing the bread as much as he can, right? First of all, it makes things a little cheaper, right, for him. But also gives the bread another chance, right? Otherwise, it will just go to waste.
That's right.
So, okay, Tina, raise your hand. What do you want to say, Tina?
Yeah, over at our house, we fight over that, and we call it the butt.
Yeah, it's
the best piece of bread you can eat with your oatmeal.
Yes, it is. It's good. It's all good.
Delicious. I'm getting hungry now. Okay. So, anybody else have any comments on the content of this? Okay, we're gonna move on. Let me go on. Oh no, wrong route. Hold on a second. And somebody was asking for the credits. And here are the incredible list of credits. So the first line comes from this famous poet that I know. It's called Nicolai Garcia. And the poem that I got it from, it's titled Hella Tripping. And it was published on Conchas y Café in Volume 4, Issue 1, No Biases. And you can find it on page 4. The second line, which was, my mother always said, eat your vegetables, was done by Tina Fallon. And the poem titled My Mom and Dad, published, again, Conchas y Café, and page 2. Then the third line was done by Mauricio, Soul on Fire. That line was, hold on a second, Sprinkle with Dust. And the name of his poem, you want to look it up, it's MD, again published in Conchas y Café, y lo pueden encontrar en la página 93. And we have also, for the fourth line, we have Karen G, the OG. Some relationships are like burnt popcorn. And that's the line about eating around the burnt parts. Yes. And again, another Conchas y Café scene. And it's on page 50. And the last line, we have this famous writer here today, I think. It's Take Them or Leave Them by Michelle Smith. And the title of the poem is Maxim Rules of Living, published in Conchas y Café, scene volume 5, issue 1. And the title of that scene is Demigods and Then Some. It's on page 69. So, nada más de que me traduzco. So, aquí, como bien pueden ver los créditos, que viene siendo Nicolai, que es uno de nuestros miembros de Conchas y Café, y el poema donde agarré esa línea se llama Hello Tripping, y después vamos a seguir todas las líneas, como dije en inglés. Está Tina Fallon, después Mauricio, Soul on Fire, Karen G, then we have Michelle Smith, y estos son poemas que hemos creado en todas las series de Conchas y Café. So, yeah, guys, this is a poem entirely made out of you guys' work. So if anybody else have any questions on how to cite, this is a way that I start doing this citing.
Abraham. I noticed that you cited in two different manners.
Yes.
The first
poem, you just put the title, the line,
Yes.
and then the author and the work in parentheses.
Yes.
That's sufficient, right? We don't have to go into as much detail as you did.
Yeah, I did it so you guys can have a sample of it. And I prefer to have the entire information. So, for example, somebody who doesn't know this, especially like Conchas y Café stuff, they have the name of the person who wrote that line. They have the title of their piece, and then where they can find it, which is a really important thing. I think somebody mentioned, how do I find this work? And so I guess nowadays it's maybe a little easier on the internet. You can just ask for the name of the person and the title, and you might be able to find it, unless it's something that's really hidden and maybe just on books and not digitally. So that's a good way to have it, so that somebody can look it up. And also, if it's an entire book, you might want to have the number of the page. So that'll be easier for you to find the line, okay? And again,
right,
if you don't have to do it this way, I did it so you guys have a different method of using. And I also wanted to, say you guys made this poem. As Michelle, please, you raise your hand.
First, yes, I have. First of all, thank you. I feel honored and thank you. And Sandra, thank you for saying your comment. Also, I cannot. I'm on an Android phone, so I cannot answer the feedback in the chat like you guys do.
I know. Yeah,
tablets and things. But I thank you for that. I really am honored for that. I feel I'm in great company.
No, I was honored to use your.
Thank you so much, Abraham. That's really beautiful, and thank you. I feel as if I have won the Academy Award, and I've been nominated, and I won somehow with other poets, so to speak. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
You also. And I also wanted to know, what is Cento? Was it Cento?
Cento, yeah.
What does Cento mean?
Oh, you came a little later, right? Let me go back and just do a quick one so
Okay.
you can see what a Cento is. Oh, let me go back. Hold on. You can still see on your phone or not? No, hold on. Let me stop this. Sure.
Yes, we can.
Stop. Sorry. Okay, I have to go. Just go back. It's okay. Really quick. Let me go back. And here's for you. So here's the definition of a cento, okay? From the Latin word patchwork, the cento or collage poem is a poetic form composed entirely of lines from poems by other poets. Thought poems often borrow lines from other writers and mix them in with their own. A true cento is composed entirely of lines from other sources, okay? And you are gonna maybe check the lecture on it, later, and there's more data on it. So that's what a cento is, okay? Does that explain it?
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Tina Fallon, what about year and piece was published? Well, I have, like, for example, when you go to school and you use the kind of sourcing, yeah, but I feel like it was too much to put all that data. But also you can also, if you find a poem online, you can copy and paste the link you got it from. That's also another one. If somebody else wants to use the internet for this, okay? So far, any questions? No? Okay, we're gonna move on.
Actually, I have a question.
Okay, bring it on.
So, can we cite ourselves?
That's a little selfish, so no. I just wanted to make it fun, but funny, but it definitely makes.
I mean, if it fits and I need it, I can't use it.
No, the whole point is to do it for other pieces. If you, believe me, you might be tempted. You might be tempted.
I want to give myself
when
some
you're
credit.
so good as you might be tempted. But yeah, the whole point of a cento is to get sources from other people. And like,
okay. You're right.
Yeah,
That is part of the criteria.
And like,
Very good question.
Bring it on.
I said that was a very good question.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Thanks, Tina. Thank you for not saying I'm selfish.
No, you're not.
Yes.
And for me, those those books are a little before my time.
Oh yeah. So since you guys are talking about that, all right, just to show them, why not? All right, let me get out of this place. How do that's the easiest, fastest way, right? So you see, we have a lot of scenes that you can get work from, like I did. And somebody asked today at the beginning of the class, I didn't find any work on food. How can I write this? Because she read the handout before we did the lecture. And I'm like, I did it because my poem is there. But definitely when I was doing this class, I was thinking the hard part would be to cite. But no, the hard part was definitely finding pieces that work for the homework they're gonna give you. So it's a challenge, but again, you can get a lot of inspiration from your rates. I know it's a lot of good stuff that you're gonna find on the scenes. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce you to your homework. This is hell. Just kidding.
You're a hard professor, Abraham.
I enjoy torturing people. Okay.
At least the pick isn't sharp.
So, okay. So, food for thought. While the world wastes about 1.4 billion tons of food every year, the United States discards more food than any other country in the world. Nearly 4 million tons, 80 billion pounds every year. That estimates to be 30 to 40% of the entire US food supply and equates to 219 pounds of waste per person. That's like every person in America throwing more than 650 average sized apples right into the garbage, or rather right into the landfill, as most discarded food ends up there. So déjeme traducir. Comida para la mente. Mientras el mundo desperdicia alrededor de 1.4 millones de toneladas de alimentos cada año, los Estados Unidos descargan más alimento que cualquier otro país en el mundo. Casi 4 millones de toneladas, 8,000 millones de libras cada año. Se estima que es el 30 al 40% de toda la suministro de alimentos de los Estados Unidos y equivale a 219 libras de desperdicio por persona. Es como si cada persona en los Estados Unidos arrojara más de 650 manzanas de tamaño promedio directamente a la basura, o más bien directamente a los vertederos, ya que la mayoría de los alimentos descargados terminan allí. So anybody have any questions on this? Because definitely it's a big problem, and that's why I was using the source of the quote that we use and also the poem that I wrote, which is basically a lot of waste in the world, right? And so for that, with this in mind, for homework, write a Cento, not only on the topic of food, but a Cento on food waste. And to make things interesting, the lines should come from past DSTL artists, art published, meaning from classmates who have published their work. So en español, teniendo esto en mente, como tarea escribe un cento solo sobre el tema de la comida, sino un cento sobre el desperdicio de alimentos. Y para hacerlo las cosas más interesantes, las líneas deberían provenir de previas publicaciones de DSTL Arts, que significa que los compañeros de clase que han publicado su trabajo. ¿Ok?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. think that's the end of the homework.
Question.
Let me hide this thing.
It says not only write about the food, but the waste of it.
Yes.
So you want us to put a positive factor about not wasting or a negative about how food is wasted.
That's definitely gonna be on you.
Oh, there
yes.
he goes again.
Yeah, you have. I mean, you have you have the freedom to do that, so you can create something that's really you, right? So it's something new, and you have the power to use it as you want. Like my piece, it was more subtle. I just wanted to talk about my personal experience about my mom cooking and my family members, how they were trained to like eat the food that they was provided, right, and not waste any. So that's a small piece. Or you can talk on the global scale. So it's up to you. You can talk in different ways, right? Somebody else has a question. Sorry,
Yeah, it's me.
Jenny?
I have a question.
Sorry, yeah, go for it.
Here's my question.
Yes.
Is your piece going to be included in the zine, the next upcoming one? Because it's good.
Yeah. Why not? I have the approval by Luis.
Cool.
Okay, Annie, somebody wrote something, and it certainly will be easier to find lines from your own poetry. Maybe you can even write a few new poems so you can cite from them. Well, just again, as I was telling Luz, just don't write about your own poetry. Because I think one of the main things about Cento is so you start finding new poems and to start reading other people's work and see how they write and how you can use it, right? And it's definitely a challenge. Again, it took me a long time to get stuff for this specific poem. So, and if you cannot find like the DSTL scenes, of course you can use other sources. Just make sure you cite them, okay? Any other questions?
Abraham,
yes.
I had my hand up, and I think Janie did too. But,
okay, bring it on. Sorry.
So, Janie, if you want to go first, I'll wait. But I just wanted to.
Go ahead, Annie. It's okay. I can wait. It's okay. Go ahead, Annie.
So, I don't like to be negative, but this sounds like it's really like. I mean, could you make this any harder? You've given us the topic.
Yeah, I know.
And you're also limiting what sources we can use.
Well, the sources again are giving you the choice. Like, if you want to use other poets, definitely go for it. I just wanted to give you that options, especially because a lot of you have bought the scenes before, so you definitely have the material at home. So that will be easier and also interesting. In my case, it was a pleasure to see how you guys wrote all this poetry before, and so I used it. So that was the fun part about for me. But definitely you can use other sources. So that answer your question.
Can those sources be translated poems? Like if it's in English, we're writing maybe the poem is in Spanish or Armenian or some other language, and we can just use the English translation from that.
Okay, so you're telling me that you want to use a poem, let's say in Greek, and then you found the translation in English?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes some pieces of work have information on who was the translator, so maybe you want to add that just in case.
Yes.
Okay, that'll be fine, and just where you found it. Like I was telling, you can just put the names and the name of the poem, but it's, I think, a little bit better when you tell people you can find it here. So if somebody's curious, they can go and look it up, okay?
So we have the zines, let's say, from the workshops that we participated in. Other than the library, is there another place where we could access the zines that maybe we were not involved in, or
Luis have that answer?
Yeah, basically you could either buy the zines.
Oh yeah, ching ching.
Yeah, so you could either buy the zines or I mean, honestly, every zine that you have has a ton of
Yeah.
people's work. So I find it hard to imagine that you would need to get more than one. But I mean, if you have like say 2, 3, 4 past issues of the Conchas y Café zine or any of the other DSTL Arts publications, you're more than welcome to use those.
And Luis, yeah, it was. It took me more than. I started with the first scene and I ended up like almost to the end, but because I'm picky, and I was just using English because remember there's a lot of Spanish and other languages of the scenes, so you can use that as well. So I was a fool because there was a lot of food stuff in Spanish. I should have done a Spanish one, but I'm glad. Still, it was a challenge. And again, if you don't want to use specific DSTLR scenes, you can find other work like from other. Just make sure you got the right sources. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very cool using, lines from the writers in our workshop. I love that you did that for yours. And I don't want to be negative, but I've never tried this before.
No, it's definitely a challenge. Yeah, you're right.
Sounds challenging. Maybe almost impossible. So I just wanted to ask.
And I need to tell
Luis
you,
has a lot of confidence, but I don't know.
I have a lot of confidence in you. Like I know you can do it. Again, I was trying to make something simple, but it came out this way, and I think it's interesting because you guys are gonna have certainly a learning experience out of this, and that's the main thing. If you are good at it or not, or you feel like you didn't perform as well, that's not the point. The point is you try something new, like you were saying. Okay.
And also context, different lines out of context create a new context. So, you might find 2 lines that maybe seem really random, but when they come together, it'll probably make more sense than you think. So just kind of have an open mind about, the words that you're using, basically, because you're borrowing other people's words, and they chose them for a reason. So trust in those lines.
Yeah, some lines may not sound like food.
The title. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I see what you mean. The title doesn't have to be cited, right? That the title could be our own creation.
Oh yeah, the first one that we used and this work, the sample that I gave you the first, that one the writer chose to use the title and also the first line.
Yeah.
But that's not like a rule. It's just the way they wanted to use it.
Question.
Uh-huh.
Is there a length on how long it should be, how short it can be?
Well, I think 3 or 5. I mean, that's the minimum, and then up to you. I'll say 5. It's a nice number, but it's just so you get enough context, especially since you're using a little different stuff.
Okay, 5 lines.
5 lines will be nice. If you can only make 4 or 3, it's good. I mean, there's haikus of 3, right? So you can do it, just as long as it makes sense, right?
Okay.
Oh, San Juanita,
that sounds
sorry.
good to me.
Somebody else raised their hand. San Juanita, right? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So I was gonna ask you, and I don't know if it's related to. Well, it is related. Do you know a writer that has written? I know that you showed us the other one, and that is published poetry, and do people actually?
Yes.
No, I don't think they publish a book out of Cento, ¿verdad?
I have seen stuff, but it is not a super popular mainstream thing. Because I was out searching for, especially for food, Centos, and it's not a lot of stuff. But definitely you can publish stuff like this. That's why you're citing stuff. Otherwise, you wouldn't mind.
It can be any different topics, right? For example, ours is food, but it could be anything else.
Well, for this homework, it's on food waste.
Right, food waste. Okay.
Yeah. And food waste, it depends what you want it to be, right? It's just a small piece so you can have a direction where to go with your poem and also fits with the theme of food. And I think we don't think too much about food waste lately, and I wanted to incorporate that into this specific homework.
Okay.
Oh, Ms. Michelle, sorry.
Thank you.
It takes me a while to look at this thing. Ms. Michelle, you had a question? Hello? I guess no.
Who wants to write about food waste? Okay, we're going to write about food waste, and it should be 5 lines maximum. When you write the poem itself, can you write more than one poem? Is there a maximum? How many poems you want to write?
Oh,
Okay,
it's
so
up to you. I'm gonna suggest finish one first because it sounds
Okay.
a little easier at the beginning, but it takes a while to find stuff that you want to use into your poem. So finish one, and then you can make as many as you want, right?
Yes, true. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So minimum 5 lines, right? Minimum 5, not.
I mean, it could be less, it could be 3, but
But it can be more.
my suggestion is 5, and then if you want to do more. But definitely try it first, and then see how many lines you can get away with, right?
Okay. Righty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love it when you guys get the homework face.
Hey, I'm a senior. I get to bed early. The TV looks at me, and then I wake up and look at it. And then, we play tag.
I remember Mauricio wrote pizza. Oh yeah. Well,
is that it, Abraham?
does anybody else have any questions before we pass it on to Luis? Nope. Okay, Luis, you have any other?
We're speechless. This activity.
So I really do have confidence in you guys being able to pull this off. You know, it sounds like it's a difficult challenge, but I think part of the fun in this is really looking at other people's work. And, you know, kind of, this is going to sound kind of messed up, but it's about how you manipulate the work of other people to turn it into something new. Of course, you know, you have to give credit. That's a really big part of this. So my suggestion to you is to kind of follow what Abraham did with his Cento, the one about, you know, the eat your vegetables.
Food waste.
Yeah, food waste one. Because you're giving the most credit when you cite not just the name of the author, but also the title of their poem, and also where a person could find it. And then, you know, not to be like self-promoting, but this is also a great way for us to sell more zines. Because, you know, let's say a person buys, you know, this upcoming zine that we're working on right now, you know, and then they see that you're referencing work from a past issue of Conchas. Maybe that might compel them to buy, you know, that past issue.
That awesome line.
Yeah, because of that awesome line that all of you guys created. So, you know, like, kind of have that in mind a little bit. But definitely have fun. More than anything, have fun with this.
It's definitely fun.
You know, it's the idea is that you just simply, you know, revisit the work of your comrades, as Abraham put it. The only other thing that I have to add before we say goodnight is that, you know, just a little reminder that next week is going to be a workshopping week. So, you know, any of you that are interested in sharing your work and getting feedback from the larger group, that's what we're going to be doing next week. But I also want to dedicate some time next week to getting feedback from you guys about whether or not you feel like the feedback sessions have been helping you. You know, because I don't want to have sessions that make people feel like they're sort of wasting their time. And you know, I just want to make sure that we're efficient with our time and that all of you feel like you're really getting something out of this. So that's
Luis,
it.
you're breaking up, and I'm sorry, I didn't understand any of that. I didn't get it. Can you repeat what you just said?
Yeah, I'm just saying that next week I'm going to dedicate a part of our session to getting feedback from you about the class and whether or not you feel like the feedback sessions, the workshop sessions, are giving you enough feedback on your poetry so that you can begin improving it. Because I want to make sure that everybody feels like, you know, they're not wasting their time. That to me does feel important. So next week, just keep that in mind. It's going to be a workshop session for those that want to share their work. And then I'm going to dedicate a part of it to getting feedback from you about the class structure and all of that. And I see, let's see, a couple of things that came up in the chat. Exercise creates nuance to rediscover our work. Yes. Definitely that. Can I use work
Luis,
from other published works from this?
like the angels? Remember the hero? The hero? Can we?
Yes. You can use work outside of Conchas y Café.
Nope. I mean, like the one that we did about the heroes, LA.
Yeah, that's what I was saying right now. You can use other publications outside of just Conchas y Café.
Okay, that's true. Conchas is one. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I hope y'all have a great rest of your week. All this recording from today is going to go up in a couple of days, and the recording from last week, if in case any of you missed it from earlier, I had some technical glitches happen, so it did take me a little bit longer to upload that video, but that video will go up in the next couple of days also. So
Thank you.
all of you will hopefully be able to be updated on Google Classroom. So yeah.
Should we upload
Thank you. Thank you very
work
much.
if they want to share next class previously? Like,
Thank you, Luis.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Abraham just
Good night,
asked a question.
Good night, Brother Lewis.
Good night. For those of you that maybe overheard what Abraham was saying, if you want to share your work next week, I highly recommend that you use Google Classroom to upload it, so that way we can have a look at it beforehand, and then I can present the screen on your behalf. I think that'll make it a lot easier.
Work and have time to
Right.
read it.
Yeah, so that way we can display the work for everyone to be able to see it. I think that's going to be helpful for those of you that are looking to get feedback. So yeah, yeah, that's it. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. We'll see y'all soon.
Thank you, Abraham. Thank you, Luis.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you.